In this video, I'm going to explain to you why I'm skeptical of a component of Tom DeLonge's UFO perspective and why I think you should also be skeptical of it, or at least agnostic to its truth. I want to make it clear from the outset, my critique is of what he said during a 2016 Jimmy Church interview. What I am analyzing does not encompass the totality, obviously, of the viewpoints of Tom DeLonge and UFO intelligence. Now that I made that crystal clear, I will continue. Basically, what Tom DeLonge said to Jimmy Church in that interview, or one of the things he said, is he believes that UFO intelligence intentionally performed amongst human beings in a way that would lead to human beings developing religious belief. And that was the intention of the UFO intelligence, so that human beings, factions of human beings, would fight one faction against the other based upon the religious ideology that was spawned by the behavior of UFO intelligence. And this was done because, according to DeLonge, the UFO intelligence benefits from human strife and all the negative energy that creates. This component of Tom DeLonge's UFO perspective comes across to me as totally outlandish. Although I wouldn't go so far to say that it's crazy, on the simple basis that UFOs are inherently insane. And we reach that assessment just by glossing over the past 70-year literature of the experiences people claim to have had, including moving through walls as UFO intelligence has snatched them, being paralyzed by this intelligence, receiving telepathy from this intelligence, seeing orbs manifest from this intelligence. And on it goes. Even what's on the table regarding the origin of UFO intelligence could be considered insane. Does it come from another star system 1,000 light years away? Does it originate from another dimension? Well, does it even originate from our own planet? But I would still take the liberty to say that Tom DeLonge's perspective in this area is outlandish. And because of that, because of its outlandish nature, I think right out of the gate, we should exercise some skepticism and not just immediately put weight on his theory on account that it's Tom DeLonge saying that he feels somewhat confident that this is true. I perceive Tom DeLonge's UFO perspective renders hundreds and thousands of years of conflict between tribes and nations as largely being the result of UFOs having interfered in human affairs. And that strikes me as overwhelmingly simplistic. I contend that if we look into our own hearts, we can find enough dysfunction to understand why there's so much dysfunction between tribes and between nations. Just go on Twitter. Look how many arguments and how much ugliness pervades that social media platform. But you don't even have to go on social media. You can see it in the streets. You can see it at a fast food restaurant. You can see it in so many different places. So, unfortunately, human beings are prone to doing nasty things, to being stupid, to being selfish. It's written into our DNA. And it's also written into our DNA that we can overcome it, and overcome it we need to do. But his perspective on UFO intelligence in regards to all of the conflict that has pervaded our civilization strikes me as similar to how conspiracy theorists will say, well, the Illuminati are pulling the strings, everybody. They're causing all of these international events to happen. And these international events are not predicated or based upon a complex variables interacting with one another. So the level of simplicity within his perspective, rendering why there's so much conflict in the world, just makes my alarm bells go off immediately and primes me to be skeptical of it being true. DeLonge has done a lot of interviews, so what I'm about to say may not be 100% accurate, but it's accurate to the best of my understanding at this point. The way that DeLonge's theory was solidified is not that the advisors told him, Mr. DeLonge, I want you to listen very carefully because we're going to tell you and explain to you the truth about how UFOs interact with humanity and what their agenda has been. That's not how it panned out. It panned out by DeLonge communicating his belief, whether through writing or explicitly through conversation with his advisors, and his advisors responding by saying, yes, that's how it works. You got it. Now, this immediately puts alarm bells in my mind, and I'll explain why. If you wanted to sow disinformation, it would be far preferable to get someone to believe something that they already believe, as opposed to giving them new information to adopt and internalize. And the reason for that is very simple. We all inherently want to believe that our assessment or our opinion is true. And if someone tells us it's true, now you have a personal interest in propping it up as true. It feels good, right? And it gives you confidence, as opposed to being like, oh, really? That's interesting. Okay, I believe you. So it just comes off to me as, I can't think of how to put it, but let's just call it disinformation craft. Now you could argue that, well, DeLonge was right. He just happened to be right. And his advisors said, yeah, you're right. What were his advisors supposed to say if DeLonge was correct on his thesis? And I understand that point. But, and I'm not saying that I'm not biased. I'm just saying that if I wanted to sow disinformation, if I would look for areas that the person believes and tell them they're correct way before I would give them new information, because I would perceive that by doing it that way, they're more likely to solidify that belief system within themselves and more successfully propagate it to the masses. Another huge problem I have with Tom DeLonge's theory is that none of his original advisors and none of his current advisors within To the Stars Academy have explicitly stated on the record that they agree with his UFO theory. And the reason this troubles me is because them telling him privately doesn't cost them a thing. They haven't put their reputation on the line. By telling him privately, they're not exposing themselves to questions from the media, questions from the US government, questions from anybody. This doesn't mean that what they told DeLonge is inaccurate, but I'm certainly going to have more inherent skepticism when all I can sink my teeth into is DeLonge saying, yeah, this is what my advisors told me. It's just not the same. Look at what Luis Elizondo has done. He has stated many things about UFOs. He goes over the 5 observables. He talks about their interest in nuclear power, whether that's nuclear aircraft carriers, nuclear launch facilities. He says that they also seem to be attracted to water, like out in the open ocean. Luis Elizondo has stated a number of things regarding UFOs. And by doing so, he exposes himself to questions. By doing so, that's his reputation for everyone to see. When you say something publicly as it's true, you have a lot to lose if it ends up not being true and it ends up being proven false in the future. You tell something to Tom DeLonge privately, you got nothing to lose. And that's why my skepticism triples. When all DeLonge can do is tell me what his advisors told him in confidence. And I give a lot of credit to Luis Elizondo for going on CNN, going on MSNBC, going on the upcoming Unidentified docuseries and laying it out, exposing himself to scrutiny and questions. That's powerful. It ain't powerful just to tell DeLonge something in private. And that makes alarm bells go off in my head. Makes me skeptical. Rightfully so. Now, why would DeLonge's original advisors feed him disinformation, even if it was simply a matter of them telling DeLonge that his theory is correct? Honestly, I have not the foggiest idea, and I don't even know if I really care. But if you forced me to come up with an explanation, I would say, well, maybe they wanted to put some speed bumps along the way to disclosure so that DeLonge speaks about truths regarding UFOs, but also conveys things that are outlandish and false, hence slowing down the disclosure process. That would be my best guess, I guess. It needs to be stated that yes, I am skeptical that his UFO theory is correct, the one that I outlined in this video. But that doesn't mean that DeLonge is not right. He might be 100% right. His advisors that fed him this information, or at least facilitated his belief in this information, they may be 100% right. I'm not telling you that DeLonge is wrong. I'm telling you why I'm skeptical that what he says regarding UFO agenda is true. And I feel justified for that skepticism. Maybe in the future I'll see new information and I'll change my mind and be like, oh, DeLonge was right. Or maybe I won't. And me being skeptical of this UFO theory does not mean that I think Tom DeLonge is a nefarious actor, or that even his original advisors are nefarious actors. Maybe his original advisors truly believed this theory, but I'm still skeptical of it, even if they sincerely believe it, because I haven't seen the evidence. And it's outlandish. The only appropriate response to this outlandish theory is skepticism, in my opinion. And it's just my opinion. But DeLonge has been a hero for disclosure. Make no mistakes about it. He was able to penetrate the highest levels of the U.S. government. The man is tenacious. He created To the Stars Academy. He got a place for Luis Elizondo to land and have a job outside of the DOD so he could spend his days and hours telling the world that UFOs are real. Two things can be true at the same time. I'm skeptical of his UFO theory, and I also believe he's a disclosure hero. Season 2 of Unidentified, Inside America's UFO Investigation is premiering on July 11th. I'm going to be watching that. I recommend all my audience watches it too. Let's support that docuseries so that it keeps coming back. Because even if you disagree with aspects of it, I'm going to tell you right now that I believe that docuseries propels us in the right direction. I'm going to tell you right now, the pre-disclosure world is dangerous. It's dangerous. Every 24-hour cycle that goes and we don't have disclosure, that is dangerous. I will take an imperfect disclosure, one that conflicts with your philosophy all day long if I can get it now, than one that fulfills your philosophy perfectly and happens 10 years from now. You better believe. So watch Unidentified Season 2 on the History Channel, July 11th. I'm going to be doing an analysis of every one of those episodes if I can. I desire to do so. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to support my channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts, links in the description below. Or you could even become a patron. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I will appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.